Hello there, it's Helen Chorley for Property Sisters, and I'm delighted to be joined today by one of my fellow angels on the Property Elevated TV series made by Property TV that was shown on Sky over the winter. If you haven't seen that, do check that out. Some great episodes and some great learning opportunities. But John, welcome. Thank you for coming and hoping to share your insights into how this year has started and kind of what you see for the year ahead, because it's certainly going to be interesting, isn't it?
I think, yeah. Hi, Helen. And we are keen, aren't we? 7:45 in the morning in the UK. God knows what time it is where you are. Of course, sunning yourself, but it's 7:45 in the morning here, and we're keen as hell, as always, to tell everyone how the market's going and how we're doing. So I think the timing of this is really good because we've had its doing since Christmas, and I think that's really important. I'm pleased to say, considering the situation, things are rather quite good. I think in terms of our estate agency, we've got 5 in Norfolk, fine and country, upmarket, admittedly. So we are cushioned a little bit from the economic problems. A lot of buyers are coming out of London and other places, selling for more money, coming to Norfolk, putting some money to one side. And I think they're moving now rather than perhaps their planned move in 2, 5, or even 10 years. They've brought it all forward. So that's really what's happening. And we've got off to a really good start this year with the estate agency, which has surprised me. We all were holding our breath actually in January because we thought, well, what's going to happen? Because we've had the most fantastic run since June to now. Our agencies have had the best run they've ever had, which is remarkable.
Wow.
And it's not just us. I mean, other big brands have also done well, but I think we've done exceptionally well. However, so we've got a bit of a cushion. We've got some money in the bank, Helen, which is always nice, a reasonable amount as well. Now, my business partner, who's an accountant, similar to you in terms of he's cautious. I'm asking for a dividend and he's saying, no dividend. We might need that this year, John. Very sensible. I understand that. I think he's been a bit tight, but anyway, there we go. So later on this year, who knows what's going to happen? But at the moment, the market is quite good. Now, some people obviously think, well, the market's quite good, John, because you've got the rev up to stamp duty coming off to the holiday period stopping. And I don't quite agree with that because the sales we're doing now are unlikely to be through by the end of March, and actually people don't seem too bothered about that at that level. That level, and remember the level is 500 to 1.5 million. So at that level, it makes 15 grand difference to them, and I think they don't seem too bothered. Now with our developments, we've got 20 odd million pounds worth of property to sell this year. Look on the bright side, Helen, it was 30 odd million last year, so we haven't done too badly. So let's be positive. 20 odd million pounds. We had a very slow first 2 weeks of January, very slow, but suddenly we've sold quite a few flats on our developments. So that's good news as well. One thing which is interesting is that on leasehold flats, the government are now saying if it's a help to buy, if you're using help to buy, then the ground rent has to be at nil. And I think they're going to roll that out for everybody across the UK, whether you're a first-time buyer or not, next year. So I think going forward, if anyone's doing a development of flats and they think their freehold at the end has got an investment worth something, any new ones, there won't be.
Right.
Because the ground rent will be nil for next year. I believe that's what's going to happen. Sounds to me that's what's happening. Now, it's not law yet, but because they're involved in the Help to Buy scheme, the government have said any new Help to Buy from now, the ground rent has to be nil if it's a flat. So
that'll have to be factored into the developers.
Absolutely. Numbers. So if you think your freehold's worth 40,000 at the end because you're going to sell it for 5% yield, guess what? It isn't.
Yeah.
However, anything that is already done, I don't think they'll do anything about. I don't think they'll do it retrospectively. So that's I think that's quite important to know. So that's quite good. So a lot of doom and gloom around in the UK, but I don't think there needs to be because the Bank of England are saying we're going to have a boom in the summer onwards, and I can see that because people have saved their money. People won't be going away on holiday. They'll be staying in the UK. My stepdaughter tried to book a week somewhere recently. Can't get anywhere.
Wow.
Not in the UK. Everywhere's booked. And nice. Everywhere's booked. She's got good taste. So anywhere nice is booked.
Wow.
And then, of course, we've got the vaccine, which we've amazingly, the government it's so hard for any government. They made mistakes, obviously, but going forward, the vaccine is amazing. 10.5 million people as we speak today, and I expect by the time this comes out, it'll be even more than that. And I said earlier, I'm only 38 and I'm getting a jab shortly, I think. So that's great news. So, and then so that's really important. And also other things that are happening, like Freeports. Brexit's happened. We all held a breath. There hasn't been massive queues at the ports. I think that's upset some of the media, but there hasn't been huge. We've had a few problems with fish, admittedly, but that's all gone relatively smoothly. And now they're launching the Freeports. So the UK government, today's the deadline for people for these port areas to come up and say, yes, we want to put our name forward to be a free port. There's going to be 10 in the UK, and that's an amazing thing to do for the UK. So there's a lot of positivity, and it's interesting that, if you look round, for instance, where these free ports are likely to be, property prices in those areas may well go up because there'll be a lot more employment, for instance, and things like that. So that's quite an interesting little thing to perhaps think about.
Absolutely, yeah, that will be a boost for the local economy for sure. So that's great insight, John. What do you think is going to happen with kind of stamp duty? Do you think it will just end? Do you think they'll phase it out? Do you think they'll reform it? Well,
Rishi has let me down a bit, hasn't he? Rishi, the Chancellor, because I'm going for a grant for him to him via an MP quite soon, which we'll talk about another time, on something where we're getting together Norfolk and Suffolk and trying to boost the economy. We're going to Rishi for a grant. I don't know what he'll say, but we'll see. But I'm disappointed with the stamp duty because I believed he would extend it. I really did think so. And actually, my view is that he actually did the stamp duty holiday too early.
Yeah.
Really, the time to do it was now, because actually when he did it, there was a pent-up demand anyway. I don't think he needed to do it then. We were busy anyway. And all that's done is caused a bit of a frenzy. All these damn solicitors are saying, well, they can't do anything before March, which is pathetic in my view. As you know, my thoughts about most solicitors, not mine. Morning, Mark Hayward, if you're on. Not him, of course, because he works very hard. But some of the others, honest to God, if you've got a good one, don't tell anyone else. That's all I'll say. If you've got a good solicitor, don't tell anyone else. Keep it to yourself. I've just not done that, but there we go. So 160,000 people signed a petition, which meant it was discussed in the House of Commons.
That's right.
And it's got cross-party support that it should be extended. Of course, every MP that's got any balls can stand up and say, I want my constituencies to have it, because it's a vote winner. So that is a little bit false sometimes. But what I would say, you're too young to remember, Helen, but in 1989, when they took off double tax relief on people more mortgages, Lawson did that, and he gave 9 months notice, I think it was, and it caused a huge frenzy. And then for first-time buyers especially, and then after that, the market dived. We went into a property recession. Now, I don't see that happening because, remember, first-time buyers aren't paying stamp duty anyway.
Yeah.
So, and they're the ones that are probably, you could argue, are more affected than anyone else. A lot of people are saying, of course, that stamp duty should be paid by the seller, not the buyer. And that actually makes a bit of sense because the seller, normally when they sell, hopefully when you sell, you've got some equity and you can afford to pay the tax. Whereas when you're buying, sometimes, especially a first-time buyer, well, not first-time buyer, but a second-time buyer might find it very difficult. And by the way, Scotland, I'm looking to do some joint ventures this year, as you know, with other people across the UK. And I got offered a joint venture in Scotland, and I worked some figures out. The stamp duty in Scotland for this deal was 10%. And it wasn't a very expensive property, so expensive development. So it just shows you the difference in a sort of socialist country compared to England. And interesting, in Wales, I'm doing a joint venture in Wales, hopefully. And in Wales, there's no PD in Wales, so there's no permissive development in Wales. Yeah. So you've got to go through the whole rigmarole, which is a shame. So it's very interesting with these joint ventures that I'm doing. And we're hope to do 20 across the UK this year with other people. So if anyone's got a joint venture, a project that they can't fund, or they want to push forward and do a bigger one and need some help financially, we put in the junior debt into the deal.
That's really interesting, and very interesting to understand the stark differences geographically. Well, it sounds like you're going to have a really busy year, John. So thank you very much. I'm
driving a lot, and there aren't many hotels open, Helen, but there we go.
Thank you very much for joining us, John. We really appreciate your insights as always, and hopefully we'll catch up with you later in the year as well. Thanks again.
Thanks, Helen. Bye-bye.